Ryan Chilcote's interview, Bloomberg exclusive, a must-see Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov saying there's, quote, a real war between government forces and separatists going on in Ukraine. Here's a listen to what he had to say.
When Ukrainians kill Ukrainians, I believe this is as close to a civil war as you can get.
All right, so just to put this into some context for you, these comments come after Eastern rebels ambushed a convoy in Ukraine, a convoy of Ukrainian paramilitary, killing 6 paratroopers, or not paramilitary, 6 paratroopers who were part of the Ukrainian military. He said a lot of interesting things in this interview. He said Russia has no intention of sending troops into Ukraine. At the same time, he also said that Kiev, the capital of Ukraine, is the mother of Russian cities. It is the place where the Russian Orthodox religion grows from. It is the place, you know, of the birthplace of the Russian language. So a lot of mixed messages there.
Yeah, well, we did hear a little bit more of Putin's propaganda, so to speak. What was interesting is that he was doing the interview here, and we had an investor on the show earlier who made the point that it shows you that perhaps the sanctions are having an effect. They're noticing them. They know that their debt has been downgraded.
I actually have a point on the sanctions that they're so difficult to implement. France, that's supposed to be, you know, aligned with the U.S. and the EU, is going ahead and selling 2 helicopter carriers to Russia at the same time that we have these sanctions going on. So it's really hard to implement because you have all of these conflicts of interest around the world.
In Ukraine, 56% of Ukrainians think they are currently at war with Russia.
Right.
So regardless of what Russia says, the people in Ukraine think this is happening. And if we thought Crimea went away, there are 2 other provinces also in the southeast that are more ethnically Russian. They're actually sharing a land border with Russia. And in previous polling, they want to merge Ukraine and Russia. So those are 2 more provinces that might vote to be out.
Okay, so the storyline this week really seems to be, has Putin made a so-called U-turn, right? He did signal in the beginning of the week that he was going to take away the 40,000 some odd troops that are sitting on the border. NATO says he hasn't done it yet. So is what Mr. Lavrov is saying, is what the foreign minister is saying, is that further signaling that Russia really does not intend to cross the border? We had Hans Humes on earlier from Greylock Capital. He said he doesn't think they're going in.
All right. This is an interesting story, guys. Kids these days, they're not buying stocks. Millennials continue to shun equities even as the market rebounds. This is according to a Gallup poll taken just last month. 27% of 18 to 29-year-olds said that they own shares outright or they had money in funds, and that's down from 33% right before the financial crisis. Another study found that nearly half of millennials with more than $100,000 to invest say they will never be comfortable in the stock market. Now, this is fascinating to me because I grew up with a grandmother who had been a product of the Depression. She never wanted a bank account.
Depression babies.
She had this idea that, you know, you put your money in the bank and you were definitely at risk for never getting it back. I mean, that's an extreme version.
These are the recession babies. Those are the depression babies. These are the recession babies.
These are the recession babies. They're never going to invest in the market.
What happened in 2002? We saw 75% NASDAQ crash. We saw 55% S&P 5 years ago. So they're scarred just like your grandmother's scarred. And now they don't have employment. They have high student debt. They're living with their parents. So
and
where's the money coming from?
And they're missing out on the rally, right? The S&P and the Dow at record highs yesterday. At least
avoiding
they're
the risk is better than taking the reward.
And also to consider the student debt burden. You know, student debt is up 25% since 2003 in just 10 years.
Sure.
But what the study doesn't show is where, okay, if their money is all in cash, maybe they're saving that cash to go ahead and buy a home. I mean, you don't know they're going to use that cash for, right? If they don't have the kind of job security.
That's true. And you know why? Because I think they've been just as scarred about the home market as they have in the stock market.
They said if you had extra money, if we just gave you money, 70% of the people would have either just paid down debt or held the money to increase liquidity.
Yes,
so
they
nobody
know that
wants to buy
a home is an investment just like the stock market's an investment. I think that's a reality that younger generations now face.
And where are they saving this cash? Are they like your grandmother? Or are they putting it under their mattress? If they're putting it into a savings account, they're not making any interest.
It was all under her mattress.
Really? All right,
let's obvious. Well, my mother eventually got it out.
If I was a thief, I feel like I would go straight under the mattress.
All right, you know who's not keeping money under the mattress? It's Yahoo, because it just bought a rival Snapchat company, Blink. The deal was announced on Blink's website, though the terms of the acquisition were not disclosed. All 7 of Blink's team members will be joining Yahoo. This is according to TechCrunch. Blink launched on iOS just over a year ago and on Android. But earlier this year, but TechCrunch is reporting that Blink will be shut down. Basically, what this amounts to is that
Yahoo's trying to basically
acqui-hire. They're just hiring. They're hiring people. But the key here is making sure that they're incentivized to continue to develop the product in the same way that they would be incentivized if it were their own company.
Kevin Stevens is a co-founder there. He worked at Google, on YouTube. He's also from Apple. Yahoo's making a push to be the default search engine on iPhones, so that may be part of the reason why they want him in particular.
All right, I'm moving on to IBM. IBM CEO Ginny Rometty saying she's still confident in the company's 2015 profit forecast despite tumbling hardware sales in emerging markets like China. She also compared the challenges facing the hardware business to the financial crisis, saying, quote, "You always have things you didn't plan for." So her big goal clearly here, she says repeatedly she can deliver $18 in earnings per share.
60% of analysts don't believe it.
But how do you not plan for the transition to the cloud? Because today she said not only did we not foresee the financial crisis, and you can't, but we didn't also see this transition to the cloud. How is that possible?
That's why they've had
when
8
every other company
straight
in the same exact sector is focused on transitioning to the cloud.
Well, maybe you could say, how did Microsoft miss mobile? Either way, they're getting on board now. They're focusing on mobile. They're focusing on security. They're focusing on cloud.
8 straight quarters of year-over-year declines. So that's a problem. And they're even losing money in developing markets and in China. Nobody does that. So they're not even growing in growth areas.
So, guys, IBM may be doing not so well, but Christie's is on fire. Records were shattered at a Christie's auction in New York yesterday. Christie sold $745 million worth of art. As billionaires from around the world competed for masterpieces, 5 of the top 10 in the sale were bought by Christie's deputy chairman in Asia, who bid on behalf of clients on the phone. One art dealer was quoted as saying, "I love this. I don't know what money means anymore." That really characterizes
the effect of the Chinese
art
money coming in and bringing all the money up.
That's
There's
amazing.
only 68 pieces. So on average, they sold over $10 million per
It's amazing because they actually, there were a couple auctions last week that didn't do so well.
Right.
And people are like, okay, hang on, hold on. And this is certainly proof that the art market seems to be alive and well, and the China money seems to be alive and well.
And just from a domestic standpoint, this is really going to irk Dan Loeb because Christie's once again blowing Sotheby's Contemporary and Modern out of the water.